try this again for the third time. This is my third time trying to do this video because my phone apparently wants to say my storage is full, trying to get me to upgrade because I am a cheap bastard. Anyway, so let's talk about the millennial timeline. I've seen so much videos of millennial dudes my age, 2, 3 years older, and they're posting like this is, and then even younger people. Let's break this down, okay? If you're a millennial, born maybe even 1988 and on, you're different. You're not the same as the people before, the millennials before. I was born in '84, so when I was 10 years old, this Kurt Cobain guy left this world. I didn't, and so I didn't really start listening to music till I was about 14, and that's the truth, hearing the radio and stuff. And so, this guy was already long gone. And so I was like, oh, I remember listening to radio, like, oh, yeah, it sounds cool, Nirvana. And that wasn't my generation. Like, all the people my age, like, yeah, I hear them talk, 41, 42, like, about them grunge. Grunge was technically the Gen X's generation, and we may have had to pass on, but we had to reference back. Just like the Gen X had to reference back to the 60s, blah, 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 boomers and all that. So there's always a reference point. I don't like the generational terms because it's not really so much an attribute. It is, I guess, an attribute. It's more attitude. It's more of how life was, how the commodities. So typically when I was younger, we would walk to someone's house and they may not be there, and sometimes they would. Same thing, calling the phone, and it may be busy or whatever. So we were forced to practice delayed gratification. That's what I was saying about the timeline. Newer people, man, if you grew up and you had a cell phone in high school, like you didn't have that delayed gratification that we had. And I hate saying that but you didn't. You just you stop. Stop with that. And I'm not any better or anything for it. But that being said, there's a strange thing. I did case management about 10 years ago. I'm gonna tell you the person's name, the kid. He was 16 because of Hippocratic violations and all that. But anyway, he came in wearing a rat shirt. I'm like, oh, cool. I wonder who gave him that shirt. And I talked to him. This was like a juvenile detention center. And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah, I love rat. And he knew like their albums and stuff. And then, getting to know him, he knew nothing but really, not even like Generation X, 80s movies, Robocop, all these cool things. And I'm like, whoa, dude, how do you know all this? And he said, yeah, he didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have it, and his parents were poor, so he had basically his mother had passed, unfortunately, but he had all the wreckage of her VHSs, her music, her all that. And he knew more about that stuff than most people in that generation did, and he didn't understand. So he was kind of like a good example of how people are. So like when I was younger, a big thing, in the punk rock scene was these rockabilly dudes and girls. They would buy the old cars, switchblade combs and all that. And mind you, the chicks were always hot, so I always done that. But dudes were kind of dorks, in my opinion. But anyway, they did their hair, they listened to the music. I wouldn't consider. I mean, so you're gonna say they're millennials because of blah blah blah, this and that? No, we're all like sponges, and we just absorb what we decide to, or even what we don't, by what we let in our head. And so the Gen X's, you know, they said they borrowed from the Boomer, maybe so, but then they created their own thing. A lot of that punk rock, that metal and stuff. And so we're always, every generation, including now, people put down, are always referencing back. They're inspired by, whether they know it or not. And so this whole millennial time gap, it's really, maybe everything should just be done by the, like, sequentially by the year. Is generation 1984, generation 1985. Because there is, in the metrics, there is a difference. I, when I was like almost 17, maybe one out of 40 people had a cell phone. It was that old Nokia thing, and it was literally just for their parents to call, or if their other rich friends did it. And it wasn't a thing. I think I still had a pager, but I'm not saying, I see these guys saying, no, I miss this time, we miss this now. I do for sure. You know, I miss fighting someone when you had a problem instead of like trolling on the internet and possibly causing some SI or HI, if you know what I'm talking about in those terms. But there is a difference in generations, and here is that just needs to be addressed. Millennial dudes in your 40s doing these videos, and millennial dudes in your 39.5 doing these videos. You're not so much as a millennial as you are who you are. You know, I had friends that were cholositas. I had friends that were punk rock. Then I had friends that are gutter punk, and we all know the subgenres and that's just what they decided to be. It wasn't like they came out of the womb. I'm punk rock, bro, or I'm a cholosito. Yeah, they may have had some dispositions towards that, but it was all a choice, and so a millennial or Gen Alpha or Beta, whatever it's called, they can literally like rip off everything grunge and present it to their peers if their peers did not know any better as if it was their own. And I think that does happen a lot. A lot of there's always been those gatekeepers that wanted to keep those little bands, movies secret so that they could kind of inspire or steal from and be thought of as original. And that's what it comes down to is we're not it's stupid to just marginalize us into a generation. And I see so much, oh, the boomers had it made, the boomers had it this and that. Dude, the boomers also had to go through some pretty crazy wars. You know, yes, they probably did have the best economic situation, housing situation, pay, you know, and it does. You know, the future looks very bleak. I feel very bad. I see so many people speaking of this newer generation. I'm like, man, you know what? To me, I think, oh, it would have been cool to go through the COVID and not have to go to school, but I really don't know how much these kids were into their curriculum and whatever. They're completely different too and more disassociated than even I am through the trauma I went through. And they didn't, I don't even whatever. But stop with these videos, these generational videos, man. Some of them they're interesting when I think about it, but like, if you, I'll do it. I'll write a 3 hour book. Like, I don't know if you can make a 3 hour book, but I will completely write a book on breaking down how everything. I will scientifically study, clinically study the timeline of how you're different than me, just from when you were born. Not astrology. You know, I don't believe in that, but just that 1 year difference, man. People talk about there's a guy I work with. He's 38 years old, and he talks about SpongeBob. I'm like, dang, dude, I never seen an episode of SpongeBob. I had Ren Stimpy. That's a 3 year difference, but he had SpongeBob. I didn't, you know. To me, that show seems silly, but that's only because it wasn't. I think the show came out when I was like 14 or 15, something like that. But yeah, that 3 year difference between me and him and other shows, Nickelodeon shows we talked about, I had never seen, and he had never seen the ones I did. That's a big difference. Yeah, he's gonna know some music, but we're completely different. And so, referencing back, I could go and reference back to SpongeBob and say, like, yeah, I'm part of this. I can relate to this generation, and that's how we relate to each other instead of just being thinking we're gatekeeper elitists of a certain degree and certain. So if I'm just breaking down to these Gen millennial guys, is that you're a sponge attributing Gen Z, even baby boomers. It's all trickle down. We're all the same, and you're yeah, you're different. Yeah, you grew up without cell phones, the internet, and all that in a different time. It was a different time. Yes, it was. But there's also still kids that live in rural parts of the country that I've met personally that live like that still, not by choice but out of necessity. So hey, there you go. All right, last thing. Let's see if this thing, we can buy these carbonated waters. I'm doing a brave thing to open this in my car. Before I go in the gym, is it gonna? Oh, thank God. All right, y'all have a good one.